The best part of this melody is it doesn't come back. You know, and I need you to make it feel like it's very special. You just have to let it fall into place. And for me, you're really trying to show everything, but I want you to really make sure that everyone feels the flow of lines like this. So I want you to just be a little bit more soupy, like just swimming in the sound instead of sewing the sound. Now flow. Let go, let go. Good. One. I want you to, can you think there's like a bigger orchestra right now? I think you're trying to think this sound. I want this to feel like you're inviting everyone to be a part of this swirl of sound. Yeah? When you think about what conducting is, we're trying to guide the whole orchestra. There are times where I'm asking my conducting students to try to find that independence of their hands. One hand maybe just, you know, keeping time, being that metronome for the orchestra so they understand the pacing of music. And the left hand may be showing a little bit more of the intent of the sound, whether you want them to play softly, if you want them to play short, if you want them to really present the sound to them. So you gain this vocabulary as a musician, but also as a conductor, and we have to interpret that as a musician.
I've been studying conducting for a long time. I think conducting is still mysterious to me sometimes. But one thing that is very clear is that as a musicians, I think we are still an artist, a creative being. And sometimes when we sit and play instruments, we just get stuck in what's on the score, and then we try to just reproduce what's on the page. But I think as a conductor, my role, I believe, is to really inspire musicians to be a creative being, you know, to be an artist.
You know, if you're a kid in a youth orchestra and the conductor is sort of in charge of keeping everyone together, if somebody rushes, if somebody slows down, but then especially being involved in conductor's orchestra at Peabody, you really see a lot of conductors have a lot to contribute musically, and how to do that. It's almost like a psychology lesson even more than it is science.
Joseph, it's great to see you.
Great to see you too.
Here we are at Peabody Conservatory. How long have you been here now?
Oh, I think this is my 7th year, yeah.
7th year, wow, okay. It's wonderful to have you as a colleague. And I just want to ask you, I'm curious, what is your earliest non-participatory musical memory?
My earliest non-participatory musical memory would be, just watching my mother sing in the church choir. Yeah.
Okay. And at what point did you start singing or playing instruments yourself?
I started playing the trumpet in 6th grade. My dad wanted me to do something to keep me out of trouble, and I was horrible at soccer, and so we decided to, go the music route, and that was the first time I started studying music.
And were you taking lessons weekly?
So I was in the band program, public school band program, and I didn't have lessons until maybe I was 16 years old, and so I was just learning through the classes in the band program.
Yeah. And do you play other instruments as well?
No.
And so at what point did you find yourself considering leading an ensemble from a directorial role or perspective? Do you remember the first time you sort of got an inkling?
Well, I think I would say the first time I got the inkling was in South Carolina, my aunt, who I always went to stay with after school, lived across the street from where the marching band rehearsed. And so after school, as a middle school kid, I always watched the high school marching band rehearsing, and I was always fascinated by the drum major that was standing up there. So that was the inkling of it, getting the idea of what does this conductor do? But it wasn't until I was 16 years old that I actually got the opportunity to see an orchestra and stand in front of an ensemble, and it was the sheer sound of all of that got me excited about being in front of that sound, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Even I think in the classical music world or jazz world, being a leader of an ensemble is it's unusual.
Yeah, and at 16, you tell your parents, I want to be a conductor. They say, what does that mean? And really, I did not know what that meant. I didn't really understand that there was an industry, an orchestra industry out there. I knew only the educational world. I knew the band world. I knew that young kids were playing. And my parents said, and I was the first one to actually go to college, and they said, I hear what you want to do. I think the best thing to do is go to college for music education and discover how to make those steps forward. And so I went and did my undergrad in music education, and I actually fell in love with teaching. So I decided to teach high school. And that's a form of conducting. You're leading a high school group, you're trying to influence them musically, but I wanted to really dive deeper into the pieces that I started falling in love with. The first score I ever bought was The Rite of Spring. I fell in love as a trumpet player with Mahler symphonies. I wanted to do the big stuff.
So I've always been incredibly impressed with conductors. I've had a few experiences where I've played as a piano soloist and a few other experiences as a vocalist as well, but the sheer sort of breadth of knowledge and attention to detail that a conductor seems to need to have, because again, I've never done that, is almost mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling because the biggest role of anyone in that position is you have to have that curiosity. You have to keep it open it has to be your livelihood. The idea of discovering new things. Even if it's an old piece, a Beethoven symphony, I don't open that up the 7th time and want it to sound like the 6th time. I want to open it up and really continue to dive deeper. And when I look at a new piece, it's the same thing. You are discovering the composer's voice, you're discovering the different ideas that you have to communicate to the orchestra. And so this puzzle, that starts to be put together from the first day of opening a score. It becomes my duty, but not only a duty, it's like the joy of conducting.
And so the last thing I want to ask you is, what are you looking forward to in the next year, 2 years, 3 years?
Oh wow. I look forward to like exploring even more repertoire. You know, this concert that I'm doing with Peabody, I said this is the Rite of Spring is the first score that I bought. This is going to be the first time I ever conducted, and it's just amazing. Like I'm still doing my first. I'm just excited to meet more orchestras but continuing to just grow as a musician. So. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to in the next 3 years. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, it's really truly a pleasure to know you and to have you as a colleague, and just to be able to witness what you do artistically and musically is a huge inspiration to me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.